This is the Body Wise Podcast. Thank you for joining Laura and Christina for another intimate exploration of collective wisdom.
Hey, and welcome back to Body Wise Podcast. Laura and I are really excited about our third episode. Today, we're going to be talking about stress and how it affects your hormones and sharing a little more on a personal note and how it affects our bodies and our coping mechanisms as well. But I haven't seen my sister in a minute. We've been so busy. She was traveling. So how you doing, Laura?
I'm well, Christy. I'm glad to be back home. And today I'm on cycle day 7. So I'm in my follicular phase and I pretty much just stopped bleeding yesterday. So it's like officially the end of my cycle and I can feel my energy levels rising. The last couple of days, sustained energy levels. I've been working out and I've had like energy to work out and felt really good in my body. So yeah, I'm kind of in a creative process at the moment, which is great for this phase in my cycle, and looking forward to this podcast today. So
and this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, party, wedding. We have our cousin's wedding and we're all going to be there together, the three of us, sisters. In sequence dresses, different colors, but all sparkly, which is not usually our regular style.
No, right. We're going to be like the Temptation. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. So our topic today, our topic of choice is stress and how we manage it, how we heal it, how we carry it, and then kind of diving into Cristina's expertise around food as medicine and nutritional wellness, and me in terms of menstrual cycle wellness and hormonal support. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, as I was thinking about our topic for the day, did we check in with you? We just went into...
Yeah, you just skipped over me, but it's okay. You
can Sorry. Go home. It's no. Blah, blah, blah. Go ahead. What's going on with you, girl?
Okay, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm on decaf coffee now, which is part of my adrenal kind of rehab. I've been talking about this a lot on my Instagram accounts, but with everything I have going on this year, which is book launch, building a house, and my husband's deploying, I kind of preemptively, when I started this year, was like, I need to make sure I don't burn out. Because Laura knows this. I run hot. I run on high all the time, overdrive. It's how I feel like I'm thriving until I crash. So I can't afford to crash. So I took 20 days off of the gym. And then when I started working out again, I was just doing lifting. I wasn't fasting at all. I was eating 3 meals a day, just very gentle with myself. But I switched over to completely decaf coffee. It was a little like 2-week transition of half calf and then now full decaf. And I'm feeling great. My energy levels are good. My cycle's a little funky. Like I had a cycle earlier this month, and then I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I ovulated later. It got pushed back because I started using progestins, which is that essential oil, which is essentially to help with progesterone and the estrogen balance. And I don't know if that's affecting it, but I definitely felt a shift in my cycle. But I have a very telltale, like I ovulate and then I feel like crap for like a good day or two. And I definitely had that the last 2 days. But today I woke up and I'm like, it's a new day. I feel better. And it's probably my hormones kind of leveling out, right? So yeah, I had a good workout. Had black coffee this morning, which is a miracle. But feeling good. I'm, again, excited for this weekend. And just, this is what we're talking about today is so like prevalent in my life right now. Like I am on like team manage stress, and even yesterday interviewing with Mark Sisson, he's so big on like, he's such a good experience, like someone who's like, he's so ultra successful, like mega successful person, but he was saying how like he never sacrificed his health for success. He never sacrificed time with his family or his kids for success. Like it was all about the overall, the full package, actual health, sleep, being happy, being with his family. I'm like, such a good reminder, right? That hustle, grind mentality. It's like, forget that. You don't need it to be successful. It's a good reminder. So Laura has a poem she wants to share with everybody.
I do, because I was thinking about our topic for today and it reminded me of one of my favorite poems. So I'm not going to read the whole poem. It's really just the entry part, the beginning.
Who wrote it?
Mary Oliver, the great, late, wonderful poet, Mary Oliver. And it is titled Wild Geese, but here's the beginning. You do not have to be good You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles to the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Yeah, I love that too. And every time I read that, it reminds me of two things. I think it brings up for me the energy of effort, of extended effort, that sometimes I carry in my everyday, like trying to get things done or be a certain way. The effort required to take good care of myself, take good care of my children, keep up with life. And like you just said, that kind of hustle, that lingering hustle feeling that some of us carry. And then similarly, it just reminds me to take a deep breath, and that, I only have to be and to let myself be that soft animal and listen to my body and love what it loves. It's like essentially doing what I love, following my joy, that passion. We hear that so much of like, do what you love. What is your joy? But it's a reminder. It's like a little bell that we need on a daily basis. Yeah, you're working so hard and you're trying so hard, but are you getting to where you want to? And are you experiencing and feeling the way you really want to feel?
Right.
Like, you've arrived if you just let yourself arrive.
Right. And you don't have to be busy all the time, and it's okay to rest. And I think there's this kind of culture of like sleep later, no pain, no gain. You have to give up everything to push your career forward or whatever your goals are. And I don't think that's true, because, I think that what's the point of reaching your goals if then you're like lonely and unhealthy when you get there? Like, I'm tired. So, and I mean, for us, I think, and a lot of our listeners, being healthy and well is the goal. Above all else is to feel good in our bodies and connected to each other, and with our community. And so, yeah, we're all about the slow down here.
Yes, let's slow down. So why don't we start by asking each other some questions, because I have a few questions for you as someone who is not as proficient in the world of nutrition as you. I was wondering if there's a certain way of like nourishing myself with food that would support my efforts, my ability to manage stress better, for my body to be more like robust enough to get through my missions and sustain my energy when I need it, all the while recognizing that I have my own cycle. But, is there food that you would say, well, like these are go-tos? This is a way or a practice that I would, really recommend, especially when you're going through a stressful time in your life?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of the foods that people eat today are part of the stress on their bodies and their life. So number one, eat real foods that your body recognizes as actual food and isn't causing like inflammation and kind of illness. So that's a big one. I mean, blood sugar dysregulation really contributes to, adrenal fatigue or just issues exhausting the adrenal glands. And it has a big impact on our hormone health as well. But there are certain nutrients that can support healthy blood sugar regulation. I like to call them like the pharmacy. In my next book, I have like this section. So vitamin A is important. It supports the adrenal glands. And you can find it in like cod liver oil, in eggs, beef liver, broccoli, sweet potatoes, carrots, and spinach. Thiamine, vitamin B1, you need it to create an enzyme, and it helps you metabolize carbohydrates, and it's abundant again in beef, liver, eggs, nuts, and seeds. Riboflavin, vitamins B2, it helps the pancreas. The pancreas needs it to secrete insulin, and it boosts the metabolism and the immune system. It's found in fish, meat, poultry, eggs, dairy, asparagus, and avocado. Manganese, it's needed for proper enzyme function, found in dark chocolate and dark leafy greens and nuts. I probably have a lot of that one because I love dark chocolate. Biotin, biotin's also really good for hair health, vitamin B7, for like hair and nails, but it helps the body use glucose effectively, and it reduces hypoglycemia and sugar cravings. It's mostly made in the gut by the microbiome, but it's also found in spinach, carrots, broccoli, eggs, and almonds. Chromium, the body needs chromium to create glucose tolerance factor. Low levels can result in insulin resistance. It's found in oysters, broccoli, green beans, beef, poultry, mushrooms, banana, basil, garlic, and red wine. Although you do need vitamin C as a cofactor for proper absorption. And of course, vitamin C is found in citrus. I think it's found in a lot of like broccoli and a lot of leafy greens as well. I also really like Ceylon cinnamon as it improves insulin sensitivity. And so those are really good foods. I mean, they're all whole nutrient dense foods that your body's going to absorb and use. And anytime you're nourishing your body, it's going to be overall healthier and more resilient. And later when we get more into the hormone stuff, there's a whole other slew of hormones, things that also support your, like the endocrine system, and the different glands. And that's really big on minerals. So just making sure your diet is rich in iodine, zinc, manganese, copper, selenium, and chromium. And these just, like, we can get into the details later, but essentially all the different glands and organs in your endocrine system really rely on specific minerals to thrive. So making sure you get those.
So as somebody who does not feel like a chemist in her kitchen, if I were going to say, okay, well, you know me, I do eat breakfast in the morning, and then I have lunch and maybe a snack and then dinner, like more or less, what should I focus on when I'm putting my meals together that you would say is going to provide?
Gotcha. Right. So simple. So like making meals to just overall, so not going into the specific nutrients. And the thing is that I think when you focus on plants and animals, because as you notice, I noted there's a lot of repetition of beef, eggs, liver, eggs, chicken, poultry, things like that, oysters, zinc. So don't be afraid of protein, especially red meat and organ meats and seafood. So if you're getting sufficient amount of red meat and seafood in your diet, preferably well-sourced, grass-fed, grass-finished, wild-caught, whatever, that's going to be probably one of the best things you can do for your body in terms of it's easy to digest. You get a lot of energy out of it. And then make sure you're colorful. Make sure your vegetables, you're having a wide variety of colorful vegetables, whole foods, nuts and seeds. And that's it. It's really, awesome. It is that simple. I'm also thinking like plants and animals, people just, and I know it can seem like, oh, but I want to make that paleo bread or the gluten-free this, and all that is great, but not for every day. The everyday, keep it super simple, is plants and animals on your plate, different colors. If it walked on the earth or it came from the earth, you're good.
Okay, awesome. Yes, that definitely helps me focus on ideas, like realistic ideas without thinking of.
Herbs are a really easy way, like, using fresh herbs in your cooking and different colored, like warm spices, turmeric, sumac, those kind of things add lots of nutrient density. And it's super simple. Like make a good chimichurri, like parsley and cilantro have like awesome like components in them. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of nourishing your body and nourishment, you use that word often. I wanted to ask you, outside of your focus on food as medicine and nourishing your body in that way, what nourishment do you take in other forms on a regular basis? Other ways of nourishing our body. We can nourish ourselves through art, through beauty, through quiet time, through bath, through like thinking of all of our senses and all of our capacities to nourish ourselves, our hearts, our minds, our spirit.
See, this is harder for me because I'm such I have my things that I do, but I've always, I don't know, food is like my thing. It's also my happy place and my self-care, going back to like you asking though, and I will answer your question in a second, but about making things easier in the kitchen. One of the things I just thought about was our amazing sponsor, Medley Veggies, and they make these veggie soups. And I know for a lot of people, like surprisingly, it's easy to just like cook a steak, but then like vegetables just aren't enjoyable for them because they don't know how to cook them. And like, I abhor like steamed or boiled vegetables. I always roast them and make them crispy and I season them, but I honestly will grab a bag of grass-fed beef sticks and a Medley like avocado kale soup and be on my way and know that I'm nourishing my body. And yeah, you can save 15% off Medley Veggies with the code Castaway. And there's link in the show notes as well as other ways I nourish myself. I think self-care is a big part of it. I do journaling, which makes me like feel good and helps me process my emotions. Every day I take a lot of baths. I do Epsom salt baths and I put essential oils in them and I burn some Palo Santo and light candles. It's very ritualistic for me. It's one of those things where I kind of like wash emotions away, but also solidify other ones. Like if there's a full moon, I'll kind of like open the window so the light of the full moon kind of like, bathes me while I'm in my bath. And I set intentions there. And something else, reading. Right now I'm reading Girl with the Fire on High and I just love it. And it reminds me of like Water for Chocolate. And it's about a Puerto Rican American girl, and she's, anyways, she's a teenager, so it's different. She's, I think, in Pittsburgh, but yeah, her love of cooking and how kind of her emotions are in the food that she prepares, and people feel those emotions and all that. So connecting with people, I feel I mean, I'm not as much as of an extrovert as I used to be, where I will get tired, but my cup is so full. Like this week has been awesome. I had amazing client calls with my coaching clients. I was on Danny and Mauda's podcast and just hanging out with them. Then yesterday with Mark, and then today with you. Like I just had a call with my friend Danielle. Like, and I love, even though they're not, this is like seeing you on my screen is as close as I'm getting to seeing people, like colleagues, and that fills me up. Like that just shifts me from feeling like rah, rah, to feeling full again. Like it energizes me. Human interaction, it's like a plug. It's like plugging me into an outlet. I love it. So that makes me, that feeds my soul for sure.
I hear you. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I was just pondering that same experience of connecting with other people, and even though online and communication, and how I do feel really excited afterwards, even though I myself am the opposite of you, which I'm an introvert, and I recharge in solitude and peace and quiet. But there's an undeniable element of exchange of energy. Especially, I think when you are exchanging from a place of where your cup is full, like I am well rested, I have taken time to myself. Therefore, I'm very well equipped and prepared to engage and exchange and talk and communicate with others. And doing it from this place feels very nourishing to me,
Right.
As opposed to when I may have been overextended, tired, exhausted, and still engaging, and then feeling depleted afterwards, And I think at different times in our life, whether we have not taken well enough care, or just it's one of those things that kind of creeps up on us, those dynamics can change.
Absolutely. They can definitely change. And I think that, I mean, we can definitely talk about other things that support, us and fill our cup versus deplete us. And I think that's a big part of the stress, that feeling depleted. One of the questions, but I feel like we have to shoot through these in order, but I did want to ask you about like herbs and supplements and adaptogens, but we'll circle back to that later. I did want to bring up though that CBD, and do you use CBD, Laura?
I tried it when I was in Washington, D.C. with you and yours, and I really loved it. And especially because I was traveling and I was sleeping with the girls in the same room, and I wanted something to kind of help me ease into a good night's rest and relax, and I loved it. And I am planning on ordering some because one of my daughters has, as you know, we've talked about some anxiety, and I've read that you can use it with children.
Right.
So I'm into it. I've heard really good things about it.
Right. Because it interacts with the endocannabinoid system, which is made up. And so it's made up of molecules in our body similar to like serotonin or other neurotransmitters. So it connects to our nervous system receptors and enzymes in the body. And it is really effective for that. I mean, I use it to sleep. I use a full spectrum Jasper Organics hemp oil. So it's not just CBD, but I love it. But I do use their CBD roll-on as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be great for Emma. More details on Jasper Hemp in our show notes, as well as a discount code. But I did want to ask you, okay, so we'll go back to supplements that you use, but right now I want to ask you about symptoms, because we were talking a lot about things that fill our cup. We covered food to help your body manage stress, but how do you know, like, what do you look for in your body as far as like symptoms that help you that tell you like that your body is like taxed or you're overstressed?
Well, usually I can tell because of my energy levels. Like I may be in a situation where I would normally have more energy, especially in a situation that I enjoy. Like, oh, I'm taking a break or I'm going out with a friend, but I can't really keep up. Like I feel tired faster. So there's that. Then I also notice that my sleep gets affected. It takes me longer to fall asleep. Like I generally hit the bed and I'm so excited and I just cozy up and I'm out pretty fast. But when I start doing the tossing and the turning and my mind is going and not letting me just lull into a sleep, then I know that like there's some kind of chronic level of stress going on in my body that's not letting me get into sleep. Sometimes I'll eventually feel digestive discomforts for sure. Like if it's been prolonged chronic stress, that hasn't been addressed, I can tip into a little bit of maybe like yeast overgrowth in my large intestine. So I might feel like, I don't tend to be a gassy person, but if I start getting gassy symptoms, that's going to be very quickly for me to say, okay, there's some yeast going on. And that usually happens because when I'm more tired than usual, I tip into sweeter foods, sugary foods.
Right.
Yes. It's like the body's natural instinct for that quick burst to the blood sugar.
Right. Lack of sleep, your body is really, and also when you haven't slept enough, you are actually more insulin sensitive. So you crave the carbs and the sugar, but they're actually like worse for you. It's horrible.
The cycle of silence.
Yeah.
So a lot of times those are the things. And I think I can often feel like uninspired. I value my creativity, and just, when you get to that point, positive outlook becomes a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
And as a mother, even my relationship with my children, like, it just feels more taxing.
Yes.
And if we don't just stop and to reflect, you kind of get caught up in the, oh my God, this is so hard. This is terrible. Why is it so hard? And actually, it is challenging. Of course it's hard. It's freaking parenting. It's the hardest thing ever. But there's levels. And when you hit that place, that really uncomfortable place, like, wait a second, I don't always feel this way. Like,
right.
I'm not feeling well. And you know what? I need to take good care. I need to take better care of myself, because this isn't the way that I want to experience life.
Right.
But, I think the practice, and I feel like it's a practice, is paying more attention, more consistently, more often to yourself, to your current state, to your present, to making choices that are like just mindful and aware of you and taking care of you. Like, this is what I have on my plate today. These are my priorities. But you know what? Maybe tomorrow I'm going to put less on my plate because I'm going to rest, because I want to be able to sustain. It's creating a sustainable lifestyle.
Right.
I want to be really fit. I want to be like really strong and lean and fit. But you know what? Right now in my cycle, I can do it. And my trainer knows that's going to change. Like,
Cooper knows.
Like, he knows around what time of the month I'm menstruating, and he knows when I'm in my luteal. And like, I tell him, like, this is where I'm at in my cycle. So you're not going to get that out of me. I feel like my body's a different body, and then we're going to kill it when my energy level's there. And it's going to be over time, and it's
right. Honoring our body's natural cycles, which for people with periods, it's definitely goes a lot with, about circles around menstruation. But I agree. I think because that whole thing of having to push through the pain, we're like, no. And I totally feel the same way. Like, there are days that I go to the gym, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am deadlifting like 208. I am crushing it. I am a beast. And then other days I go and I swear lifting up 135 feels like might kill me, and it's, and it really, and it's not that I lost my muscles atrophied. It's just that, like, I don't got it that day. I'm more fatigued. I'm retaining more water. I don't have it. And I think it's okay to rest. And that's such a big part of stress management, like truly honoring your body's needs and not pushing through, everything.
Yes, absolutely. I love, Alisa Vitti just came out with a new book. Her original book was Woman Code. She just came up. I think it's called In the Flow. I pre-ordered it, but she, even in her first book, talks about like different ways of incorporating movement and exercise into your life, depending on the phase of your cycle that you're on. Why? Because you're going to be stronger and more capable for one kind of style of working out at one phase in your cycle, and then a different kind of movement is going to support your phase in that time. And you return to it, and supporting yourself in that way and allowing for those fluctuations, like just as you fluctuate,
right,
your lifestyle and your activities and behavior can fluctuate. And that's okay. It's just I think it's a beautiful thing to embrace. And I think there's always a little bit of resistance, because sometimes we like oh, the idea of consistency is highly valued in our society. Like consistency is the norm,
Good.
sameness, repeat. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is my thing. And I mean, I think more and more we're accepting like, okay, wait, that's a spectrum. Like that doesn't work for everyone. That works for some
I see
people.
consistency as like bigger picture, because when people ask me like, I've been consistently taking care of my body and living a healthy lifestyle for 5 years, but wow, that has changed. That has included Zumba to cycling to heavy lifting to HIIT training to AIP to Whole30 to paleo to keto to kind of then just doing away with all diet labels and doing whatever I want, and just truly honoring my body. But I still feel like through all those phases of this healing journey of mine, I have been consistent in my mission to do what's best for my body. And that is going to change over time. So honoring that is part of the consistency. I think we have to reframe our idea of consistency.
Absolutely. Yes, that's well said.
Thank you. I actually was just working on an article for my blog about stress and hormones, and I found this really good article, and I'm going to read a quote from it because I'm someone that I know I have overtrained in the past. We talked about me like earlier, like I tend to thrive on that ramped upness or, like overdrive, but I've learned that just leads me and I crash eventually. So now I'm just trying to, find a more doable, consistent kind of energy level. So this was really interesting because there's a really interesting post on how intense exercise kind of affects like our gut and how it can negatively impact our gut health. So intense exercise over a prolonged period of time increases stress hormones and lipopolysaccharides translocation in the gastrointestinal tract, which triggers immune responses that often result in increased pro-inflammatory cytokines and intestinal permeability. Additionally, intestinal permeability may be made worse by the increased production of reactive oxygen species and by the alteration of gut microbiota composition and activity. So it's essentially you get dysbiosis. So you get leaky gut and dysbiosis. The gastrointestinal tract responds to stress by releasing hormones such as GABA and dopamine that have been purported to cause GI disturbances, anxiety, depression, reduced food intake, and less stress coping. So by overdoing a potentially positive stress, you are now making your body less capable of coping with stress. There's this fine line of hermetic stresses, as we call them, like, exercise is a hermetic stress, a sauna is a hermetic stress, fasting is a hermetic stress. Yes, there's positives. There's lots of studies. Everyone knows exercise is good for you, but how much? Once you get into that chronic, if you're doing HIIT 6 times a week for an hour, or you're training for a marathon and all of a sudden you have GI distress, hello, that's your body being like, no, this isn't good for me anymore. So, while this study focuses on intense exercise over a long period of time, it's essentially saying chronic stress. Chronic stress causes leaky gut. Chronic stress makes you less able to then handle, the big stresses that come along. So what are some of your tools for like stress management other than like sleeping and following your cycle? But let's say you find yourself, you're like, okay, I'm not sleeping well, I'm bloated, I'm gassy, I'm not happy. Like, how do you course correct?
Well, Christy, I might call you, but no, really, in terms of making better choices around food and nourishing my body that way is absolutely a course correction required, because I will just, like I mentioned, have started eating things for energy that were not good choices, being too tired to make the better choices, and just, so taking control and saying, okay, I'm going to take better care of myself. That's going to show itself through nutrition, number one. It's also going to show itself through, I give myself some time, some unscheduled time to be alone in my house without my children. I have the incredible fortune of being able to, privileged to be a few hours by myself while they're at school, and not doing anything. Not getting anything done, not stressing about it, but putting on music that I enjoy, which lately has been like vintage style French jazz, and, making myself a cup of tea or my decaf coffee and sipping it slowly while I watch the morning sunshine rays come in through the living room or sit in the front porch and sip and write in my journal. Sometimes I take a walk. I love being in nature. I mean, being in nature for me is like an automatic just back to self.
Right.
I think essentially coming back to ourselves in an environment that promotes peace and happiness
Mm-hmm.
is crucial. So, what promotes peace and happiness for me? Sometimes it is just that walk around the neighborhood. Sometimes it is listening to that music with my warm cup of joe sitting out on the front porch, and that music kicking my legs up and just taking that time for myself to reflect, to allow myself to look at beauty around me. Like I love to beauty as in the leaves, the grass, the butterflies, the sky, breathing and feeling myself back in my body without the energy of I have to get up and do this. I'm going to go do this. I have to figure this out. No, there is nothing to be done.
Right.
There is only this moment, this space, and then paying attention to what comes up for me. What is coming up for me? Like really paying attention. Is it images? Is it words? Is it a message? Is it an idea? It's me. It's my it may have been that little voice inside of me that's just been doing so much and so busy that it hasn't taken the time to sit with itself, myself,
Mm-hmm.
and reacquainting myself. Because that's where I want to live from. It's like, oh, this is who I miss. When I
Right.
get tired and cranky, it's because I miss this. I miss me. I
Right.
miss being in communion with me and hearing that voice inside of me and taking that really long pause, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, oh, wait a second. This is who I want to carry with me. That's the challenge. That's my mission every day. It's like to feel very much connected to myself in everything that I do, in every situation that I'm in, so that I can make choices, express myself, and stand from there, from my center, from my heart,
Mm-hmm.
from who I am. When that gets away from me, that's when my body starts calling me back through aches, through pains, through discomfort, through exhaustion. And it's really that, essentially.
Right. So
It's
other than your like, obviously the things that you do, your walks, and you talked about nutrition's a big one, as part of your self-care. You did mention coffee, decaf coffee.
Yes, I did. But big one, I'm sorry, dancing.
Oh,
Dancing is huge for me.
yeah.
I'm home alone. I put on music and I dance. And I dance like, honestly, I don't even dance like I would normally dance maybe at a club. Maybe it's like solo ecstatic dance. That's what I should call it. It is.
Modern dance.
It's modern contemporary fusion in my living room, in whichever way. I think it's like a combination of Qigong, which is an ancient practice of like it's a martial art, but it's like moving energy, and I don't know that much about it, but I've taken a few classes and it's amazing. But I find that I was doing that naturally before, like moving my hands towards my body for energy, moving it away from my body, pushing what I don't need, what no longer serves me, away,
Right.
like water washing down my body, being by a window and bringing sunlight in towards me, shaking things out to move the energy that needs to be moving. If I feel stagnant, just shaking my body.
Right.
To move it up, to let it go. And also holding myself. Sometimes if I needed to hold myself, holding myself even in that movement, wrapping my arms around myself, wrapping my legs around myself, moving in a way that we don't move. We don't move in our very sophisticated, civilized culture.
Right. There's have you heard of, do you know Daryl Edwards?
No, I don't.
So his thing is animal moves, and that's really like where he's all about like not working out or whatever, but moving your body, right? Dancing, static movement, like just moving how animals moved, how we used to move in so many ways that, we sit nowadays, which is like completely unnatural for us. I love that. I dance too sometimes, especially when I'm at my desk a lot. I'll just put music on and dance around the house, but I don't know if it's more static movement. I tend to do like old school, like late 2000s hip hop before it got crappy. And then sometimes I'll do like some Pitbull or like my Zumba music. But I think I'm sure that when you dance by your windows and your neighbors love that. So.
Well, I dance on the windows that like go to my yard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like, or they think I'm this crazy lady.
I mean,
That's
you are.
okay
It's
too.
cool. Cool. And then, so what's like, what is like, do you want to just, do you want to touch upon a little bit like the impact? I mean, everyone kind of knows like stress is bad for you. Stress can cause, you know, obviously digestive issues, but like, how does stress impact our hormones and like negatively? Like, is this something we don't want?
Okay, well, as somebody who, I see a lot of charts. I work with people who track their cycle, chart their cycle. So they're taking their basal body temperature every morning, and they're also tracking their cervical fluid, and they're just additional symptoms. What you can see on somebody who's like, oh, this is my cycle usually and regularly, but all of a sudden, like, what's going on? I'm not ovulating when I used to. It's gotten so much longer. I'll give you an example, like somebody who's tracking regularly and has had a really stressful couple of weeks or something happened and they're just not feeling well, not in a good place. They're likely to see that cycle be really different, really shifty. It's going to be long. What happens often is that somebody's really stressed out and then all of a sudden they're even more stressed out because their cycle is late, because they're like, my period's late, my period hasn't come, my period hasn't come.
Right.
And I'm pregnant. And no, for the most part, like it's stress very, very easily lengthens your period by delaying ovulation. So
right, because your body doesn't want you to like have babies when it's like not safe, because essentially your primal, your lizard brain is like, it's famine or war, we cannot procreate.
Yeah, exactly. So that stress causes your body to withhold ovulation until it feels like the coast is clear. And then when it could be a week later, it could be 2 weeks later. And when it finally ovulates, sometimes people who, they also, this is very stressful, like losing weight very quickly or exercising too much. You see a lot of people no longer cycle. They don't ovulate because that extreme workout or extreme dieting is integrated into your body like a huge stressor, and it's so much of a stressor that you stop cycling.
Right.
Another thing that can happen,
I was just going to say, just for those listening, like if you've made a change in your diet or lifestyle and you're like, oh my God, I missed my period. Like I would say if 2 or 3 months go by and you don't have a cycle, then I would start worrying, because there are like even when you're making healthier changes, it's common to see shifts in your cycle. But if you go 3 months without a cycle, that's when you call Laura.
Yeah, your hormones are very sensitive to stress, and especially your menstrual cycle will reflect that. One of the things that can happen with chronic stress over time is that your hormonal phases will look depleted. It could be shorter cycles begin to emerge. Like the quality of the hormones that you're producing aren't really very robust because they've been essentially depleted in a sense through the stress. So we have to work on managing stress, rebuilding healthy hormones, and nourishing your body in multiple ways.
Right. Eating fats, saturated fats are building blocks for most of our sex hormones. I know stress impacts the thyroid as well, and it can slow your metabolism. So it's interesting because I think it's true that so many people, women especially, they run into these issues because they're overtaxing their body by undereating, overtraining, but then that ends up upping the reverse T3, lowering thyroid function, and pretty much brings their metabolism to a halt, which then causes like weight gain, which is a lot of times why you see this kind of yo-yo dieting. It's like, people can't sustain these quote unquote healthy changes, which aren't healthy. They're just completely restrictive, and people and women end up in this cycle.
Yeah. And PMS symptoms can become more increased. Like
worse.
Because you're not making enough progesterone, your mood stabilizer, your feel-good hormone, the kind of thing that gets you through the luteal phase, there will be mood swings, there will be more soreness, retention, you might feel more irritable. You're just, the hormones that you need to feel better, your feel-good hormones aren't there. They're just not, they're not high enough or they're too high. There's like your body really longs for equanimity, for balance, for...
Insulin resistance is another one. Stress, people often say like, oh, well, I remember my NTA training, one of my teachers, like his theory is that like blood sugar dysregulation issues, like even as far as like type 2 diabetes, are more rooted in stress than in what people are eating. And I think it's a combination, because I think a lot of times diet can add stress to the body, but chronic stress, because the way it affects the adrenals and even the thyroid, it then can cause insulin, like blood sugar imbalances, and along with the hypothyroidism, and that often manifests as PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, in women. It tends to be like result after like prolonged insulin resistance, because it can cause estrogen dominance.
Yeah, and stress affects your libido. I mean, that's by affecting your hormones, your libido will definitely be affected by prolonged stress. And one of the things that you can do to relieve stress is to have more orgasms. That's one thing I use, that's for sure. Sometimes when I have a hard time falling asleep, it's really helpful to help you fall asleep.
I remember one of the questions I had for you, I wanted to get to that before we got to go. But
yes.
Are there any herbs or supplements or anything in that realm, teas, that you really like to support kind of like stress response, or just to help relax the body, or to support hormones through a stressful time? It can fall under any of those categories.
Yes. Now, I am not an herbalist, even though I love speaking to herbalists, and hopefully we'll have more information in the future, but I'm a big fan of adaptogens. Mm-hmm. So adaptogenic herbs are really unique in that they contain chemicals that normalize your adrenal function. So whether you're overstimulated or you have adrenal fatigue, they still work. Like they will adapt. They will help you adapt to whatever the circumstances and experience are. They adapt to your particular biochemical requirements, which is really why these herbs are incredible. They've been used they're ancient herbs, and they've been used in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine for a very long time. Some of the most popular and favorite adaptogens are, for example, ashwagandha, which I take daily.
It's a nightshade, just for those listening.
Yes, it is a nightshade. It is, but it's
right.
It has calming and anti-inflammatory effects. It helps to reduce anxiety and improve sleep and memory function. It's got really great antioxidant properties. Another one is called rhodiola, and it's also considered a calming of an emotional state, calming for anxiety. It improves mental and physical stamina. It's just, there's a holy basil. I love drinking holy basil. You can make a delicious tea, and it's kind of a vitalizer when I have a lot of studying to do and I kind of need like mental focus and for a long period of time and to feel kind of balanced out. Holy basil is great. There's shatavari, which is considered the queen of herbs in Ayurvedic medicine. It's got a lot of powerful rejuvenating tonics for women. It's very nourishing and calming as well, hormonally. So there's a few others, but if you're looking for a good source of information, specifics, I highly recommend going on Aviva Ram's website. She is a midwife herbalist doctor, and she talks a lot about adaptogenic herbs, and she's got really good information on them. So we can probably provide a link.
We'll put that in the links as well. Yeah. I have, I take actually from my friend Ali Miller, her adaptogen boost, which is from her Naturally Nourished brand. And it's essentially for that. I kind of take it like yesterday before, like I interviewed Mark and I was nervous, or when I'm going to speak, or I take it before I go to the gym. And it's a combination of cordyceps, Asian ginseng, and rhodiola. And I really love this stuff. And so I was saying, Laura, I know I take them, like I have another mix that's like cacao, cordyceps, and reishi, and I can add it to my tea sometime. But I'm not well versed in them. I just know that they're awesome and they work. And smarter people tell me when to take them. But it's definitely a topic awesome. That I think they're gaining popularity. And luckily with that, they're becoming more accessible, which is a really phenomenal. They're really great for that. Just helping our body cope with the stress better, right? Because the whole thing is like, let's be more mindful. And as we talked about today, like sleeping is important. Nutrition's important. Working out, but not pushing the limits, getting back to yourself, finding your alone time, because we can't control how crazy life gets sometimes. And we can put things in play and we have to prioritize things and healthy boundaries, but life is going to get crazy. There are going to be stressful moments. There's going to be a hurricane, or you're going to buy a house, or there's going to be a car accident, or a loved one gets sick. But having healthy coping mechanisms and understanding what's happening is like the first step in being able to manage that better and also just take care of you through the hardships.
Yes. And I would add that, I would add that letting go of the idea of the illusion that we can control things is a really big first step, because we're not in control. And just surrendering to yourself, because it's not about, oh, surrender, I give up. It's surrendering to your deepest desire and to your joy and to what makes you feel good and happy, and following that and trusting that you can handle it. We're going to be okay. We are all very resilient.
Absolutely. I actually you read a poem, and I have a prayer of surrender from Pixie Lighthorse, who writes these beautiful books of prayers of honoring or prayers of grieving. And it's all about surrender. And it's something that I actually, it's part of my kind of self-care process for managing stress. And it's a little long. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read a piece of it. It's thank you for this reflective and contemplative day. Thank you for contrast so that we can be clear of where we are, great ones. Help us to surrender. Send the flood of salty tears when it is time to acknowledge and release. Let the rivers flow from us, creating movement and health in our watery bodies. Conspire to also deliver friends, visions, dreams, music, and healing food. Help us to surrender. Show us how to give in and not give up. I love that line. Give in and not give up.
Yeah.
Remind us that there is a time to make decisions, and there is very much a time to sit with the strong feelings and patiently await the decision-making time. Witness us leaning our swords and spears in the corner to rest a while. Anyways, it goes on. It's so good. But yes, I love the idea of surrender. It's something that it is not giving up. It is not saying, oh, I'm going to take the easy road. It is putting in the work and then sitting back and surrendering to the process and trusting in what you have built and letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Well, I love you, Christy. It was wonderful to see you.
You
and
too.
Thank you to everyone who was here to listen and share.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Love.